Good evening, everyone. I think it's been a beautiful day, and I hope that you guys are enjoying the conversations around where we are in marketing and where we are headed in the future. Uh, I've been around listening to the conversations that have been happening on the stage as well as on the background in the pre-function area over a cup of coffee. I've been listening to a lot of stuff. Marketing perspective from a CMO's perspective is understood. But we have someone who's looking at having the responsibility of running an organization, of which marketing is one of the functions. Looking at from the perspective of someone who has a responsibility to ensure sustainability, feasibility of an organization, it is important, imperative for all of us to understand from the CEO, the chairman's perspective, and that is the reason we have the leadership, business leadership, sitting with us today to understand what do they think about marketing? What is the role that they expect the marketeers to play? Mr. Bhatia, let me begin with you. Uh, when we talk about the future of marketing, we need to understand if marketing is something that evolves over a period of time. How do you think, in your past few decades of experience, have you seen the marketing evolve to where we are today? You know, when you began your career to now when you're leading an organization, looking at P&L, etc., how do you see marketing evolve to where we are today?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. And I would say in my 30 years of career, when I started in the lanes and bylanes of North India, doing selling, and then to next phase when I was chief marketing officer of a large Indian company, and to my current role, marketing has actually changed so much. It may not be a correct word to say that it has evolved. It has actually transformed. It is certainly not the one when we started our careers, and certainly not even 10 years back. Almost every year or every 2 years, we see a transformation. We see so much of changes today. So for example, if you want me to go 20, 30 years back, we cannot even discuss because so much has changed. But if we talk of even 10 years back, when, as I mentioned, I was a CMO of a large company, we had a digital marketing company by the name Hangama, one of the top shots of India. And I still remember the discussions or the deliberations we used to have in our meetings. It was largely about, analysis, SEO, keywords, presence on some platforms. I mean, not much. And then, you have some platforms like chatbot coming, and we said, oh, kamal ho gaya. At least my consumers can, for the reason of buying a product or for the service part, they can, interact with the chatbot. And this is what we saw. And today what we saw is amazing. I mean, you have technology, you have platforms. Now we have the predictive analytics. We have on the content side, so much of things are happening. Uh, uh, Earlier, if you see the offline marketing, used to have the normal stuff like print media or TV or OH or the billboards and stuff like that. And this is my billboard or this is my advertising, and the customer is going and having a look at it and then forming an opinion about a brand or a product or whatever. And today it has totally changed. Now we follow the customer. Wherever is the customer, we follow him. If he's on a platform, we follow him. If he has made some search on Google or wherever, I mean, we get the data and then we start following him on any website or wherever he goes. So, and then we have so much of data about a consumer. We know his habits, we know his behaviors, we know the trends, we capture everything. And then we kind of create content with him. And now with the incoming of AI, I mean, the total scenario has changed. Now we have predictive analytics, which can give us the entire trend and behaviors, you can be always ahead of the curve now. So there has been a huge change. I mean, it's very difficult to put it in words, but life has changed for a marketeer today.
Uh, it's not, what you brought out was that you feel that every 2 years things are changing. You also use the word predictive. I mean, I remember a few decades ago, one of the biggest challenge in terms of understanding the metric of success of advertising and the campaigns was कि कितने लोगों ने देखा, कितना response आया, you know. And today we are able to predict as to this is what we want, and then you can create an advertising around it. Mr. Mahajan, let me come to you. I mean, I don't think transformation or changes or the evolution in marketing is one time or after a decade or something. Today, it is changing far more frequently. It's a ever evolving process. We've understood the changes that we have seen in the past to where we are today. What are some of the trends that you see are going to define what marketing is going to be in 2025, and why just 2025? 2025 and beyond.
So can you guys hear me on the back? Yeah, sure, thanks. So I think before dwelling and jumping into digital marketing, which everybody is expecting, I think you should look at from a global perspective, what are the global stakeholders looking at? And this being a leadership session, I think the perspective comes from there. So in any MNC today, where does India actually come? There are 5 or 6 clusters globally where growth happens. India, China, Southeast Asia, US to an extent, maybe one country in Latin America. So everybody is expecting that India to be a growth driver, both for volumes as also for sustainable profitability. And that is the role we have to play, whether it is this year, next year. And when you see the government, talking about 8% growth for the next decade, I think that only reinforces the kind of expectation from us. So that's as far as the strategy is concerned for anybody who's leading the country. Within the country, if I look at what are the strategies we are looking at, definitely one of the biggest strategies is about disruptive growth. And disruptive growth, marketing plays a key role in that. It's a key pillar in that. And within the marketing, if I look at the trend, I think digital marketing will be one of the biggest disruptor going forward. Not that the others will not be, and so I'm not going to talk about print and TV and all and bore everybody over here. But talking about what are the trends, where are things moving. And I like to take examples, not only from our company, but also what I see around us. If I look at, for example, the role of AI, machine learning, you find that rapidly we are able to segment the market today. And as some of you from our MBAs would understand, segmentation, targeting, and positioning happens, right? So if I look at Goodyear, what we did over there was, we wanted to launch a premium range. And I think premiumization is a buzzword today. So we said, okay, where are the premium customers? Where is the premium car park? So I'm not talking specifically about the tire industry here. So the premium car park is essentially in the top 8 metros, which are called the tier 1 towns. Delhi, Bombay, Ahmedabad, Pune, right? And within that, where exactly is the rich car park? So if you have Defense Colony, you would have the GK, you will have parts of Gurgaon, part of Noida. That's, for example, here, if you look at Mumbai, you have the South Mumbai, you have the Bandra, the western side, right? So you map those areas. And then you see where is your footprint. We found there is a gap analysis. We put our stores over there. And then what we did was we listed them on Google. So we did a 3-month pilot last year. And we listed it on the Google. And then anybody who crosses, for example, somebody going from Bandra to Nariman Point, or somebody going from Sundarnagar going to GK, right? In a 10-kilometer radius, he or she, the requirement of tire or something, it will pop the moment the mobile is on. And that is what we call hyper-local marketing. We did it for 3 years. We got all our brand shops in that place. We masked. So I'm going to talk more of what we did. I don't want to talk theory stuff over here. We masked their contact point through our network. Anybody would call, we will get to know who is calling. And we monitored the sellout for 3 months. And that is the proof of the pudding. Finally, all this is good stuff, but if the sales don't happen, it is of no use, right? So in a 3-month pilot, we found our growth has happened at roughly 18%. So it made sense that we should put more money, and that's what we are doing now. So this year and next year, we are going to list 750 brand shops of ours. We have 4,500 touch points in the country. We will take the first 1,000 or so, which are in the big markets, and then continuously leverage our global portfolio through these retail points. That is the power of ML, AI on the ground, targeting the customer and the consumer who's ready to pay for it. Now, for ease of understanding, customer is my retailer. Consumer is he or she who buys the ice cream and he buys an atta, like any of us, right? So that's a consumer. So that was the first one. The second one I want to say is something called conversational AI. Now, what is conversational AI? And you know, the experiential kind of stuff. I won't take name of the brand for governance reasons, but it's the latest entrance in e-commerce as far as beauty brands are concerned. Recently listed, so you can associate with that. Now, if you see their marketing, it is very different. So what they do is they first take the picture of your face, and then they give you options of putting different cosmetics and how you look. Based on that, they give you recommendations. Based on that, they are able to tell you, they have a chatbot, so you can, if you order, you have questions, they will ask. If you have ordered, they will get where are you, where it is, where the payment is happening. They also help in inventory control. And they also help you in fraud detection if it happens. So fantastic work done by the company. And I think these are the places where things will make a difference, right? There is another player. It is a global sports retailer. It has got 2,000 outlets globally, of which 200 are in India. You have one in Noida, you have one in Gurgaon. I'm not sure we have in Delhi or not. So there was a big challenge that how do you do mass customization of each store? Because each store has a different confluence. So how do you actually get the TG to be interested? So they bought 55-inch TVs, they bought tablets, they put it all across their stores, and they did localized promotions on the TV. And in a period of 1 year, the footfall went up by 5x. You go to that store, it is always humming. There are no cold zones. If there are retailers here, they'll understand. They're all hot zones over there. And my family also loves to buy. And of course, when I go to Shanghai or I go to Europe, the stores are very much there. So you feel good, contemporary, not very expensive. That's another one. Experiential AI coming up. There is a large automobile So I'll give you a hint so that you understand where the group is coming from, right? It's an automobile conglomerate, but it is also into housing. And in Pune recently, they launched a whole project. And the project was done on drones. You focus on the drones, and there's a code which comes over there. You focus your mobile there, and you actually get to see the layout of the township. You get to see how the house is. That's the leveraging of AI. That's where the clutter is not there. And I think that was a fantastic proposal done by them. There's a passenger vehicle, one of your competitors. They said, ride my vehicle in Harry Potter's land. So they gave 3 options. Harry Potter land, which is the Hogwarts. They gave one of Mars, and I think one was Moon or something. So it was a metaverse kind of a thing, extremely engaging. But these things, when I started my career 35 years, maybe 30, 35 years, we never saw all this. We used to have the plain, basic, vanilla, are you in print, are you in TV, are you in radio? Today it's very, very disruptive, very, very different, right? So after that, if I look at, of course, you have the basic stuff which is there, but I will talk more about the influential marketing. It was something which has really picked up. If I look at 25 and 26, Price Waterhouse talks about 3,300 crores business in influential market in 26. That's big. And that's where people are actually putting a lot of money, including people like us. But there is a change in the trend. From big influencers, people are moving to micro influencers and nano influencers. Now, what is the difference between micro and nano? Micro is somebody who has a fan following of 10 to 100K. And nano is somewhere between 1 and 10. Why they're moving? Because the stickability, loyalty, the chance of getting the buy-in is much higher with these people. And I've seen so many, ads today where they're leveraging the influencers, they're putting blogs, and of course, many of the blogs are actually made by ChatGPT. I'm sure everybody is aware of it, so it's an open secret over here. Nobody needs to cross-check. But these these influencers are actually able to, one, co-work with the brands. The latest I've heard is influencers are actually launching their brands. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. So the world is moving very, very fast in this. And I think these are some of the areas one has to look at. And last is obviously environment and social. Delhi was 51, 52 degrees. So the Gen Alpha, the Gen Z, the guys, they're not going to say that, what about my life? What about my... So there is going to be a lot of advocacy around it, and people who are more greener will obviously, take a kind of a premium on that. So these are some of the trends I see, not only 25, but going beyond. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, can you guys hear me? Absolutely. So awesome. Mr. Mahajan spoke about using digital, but he also brought out very unique ways in which companies are using digital media. I remember a decade ago when digital media was just about taking off as a significant percentage of a marketing budget of an organization. People were talking about कि cost कम है and effectiveness ज़्यादा है. ठीक है ना? Today, digital media, if you use it in a way that you have explained, it is not inexpensive. It is costing a lot. But I want to pick your, understanding and knowledge and advice for smaller organizations. जब हम डिजिटल मीडिया की बात करते हैं, people are using, every small organization is able to do marketing because they have social media available to them. But it is also getting a cluttered space. There's so much of noise there. As a senior, seasoned business leader, what will be your advice to a marketing person of how to break that clutter and create effectiveness at low cost?
Yeah, so when we started, it was largely information, and then information was getting translated into communication. That is how it was 10, 15 years back. And today, there is a third angle, which is called engagement. So from information to communication, and now, like Mr. Sandeep also mentioned, so many, activities are happening, which are all related to the engagement. How do you engage with the consumer directly? Because of this clutter, as you mentioned, so there is so much of clutter, there's so much of noise, there are so many options in the market, so many platforms, so many ways that you are influencing a consumer. It all comes down to how well you can build your engagement with the consumer. This is point one. Now, when we talk of engagement, you have to consider all the digital touch points, right? So what are the digital touch points that a consumer will start with? Now, this is applicable more for a MSME or for a smaller organization or for a smaller setup. You have to first identify and see what are the digital touch points. And actually, if I was to start, it will start with your SEO. All the SEO and keywords, how do you identify, how do you plan your keywords and SEO? Because when a consumer is first looking for you on any site, be it Google or anywhere, first you would like to see your brand or your company to be in the top, on the first page, rather than be in the subsequent pages. So this is the first point. Once he has seen you there, after that, he will look at some information. And most probably for that information, he will reach your website. So then how engaging is your website? Whether it gives you all the information, whether navigation is easy or not, if there must be visuals, not only pictures but visuals in 360, whether they can rotate, they can flip, whatever, so that the customer can look at the product from all angles, and so many things, there must not be distractions like pop-ups and stuff like that, or you keep on giving some promotion, whatever, pop-ups or whatever. So you start from there, and after that you then come down to the other things like your passive ads or the paid ads, and then you are, I mean, there is a whole set of engagement that you take him through. So when he has looked for a product in the morning until the evening, once if he has not made his decision, you keep on following him and you keep on giving him different options in terms of where to get that information. Influencer is one, because especially the younger people these days, I mean, if you have an influencer who is from your generation, where you engage with him or you identify with that person, if that influencer is saying something, it carries a lot of meaning and a lot of value. So you have to look at all these digital touch points. If you do a great job on all of these, then the marketing is the most effective. And then it does not matter whether you are talking of a larger organization or for a smaller organization. Budgets are not much on each of these activities. You have to look at what is the result and what is your ROI. So the digital, if you see the analytics part of it, the analytics, if it is effective, it will give you better results, which means your ROI on your ad spends is much better. Similarly, if your content is good, which obviously doesn't take money but takes a lot of mind share. If your content is good, then obviously your engagement is better. So there is a complete process. It will be very difficult to say what works best for you, because it also depends on what category of products your company is into. So if you are into beauty products or, for example, garments or bags or something, or even shoes, whether for men or women, uh, uh, your marketing efforts will be different. And then it also depends whether you are B2B or B2C. Today we see a lot of companies who are doing D2C. In fact, there are specific brands who are doing only D2C, and they are reasonably successful. I can name at least 5-7 brands who have crossed 100 crores in 3 years just by doing D2C. They have no channel, they have nothing. So for them, the engagement is totally different. So you have to therefore, to summarize, you have to see what is my product, who is my customer, and what are the digital touch points. Therefore, you have to identify them, and then you have to work on each of them. Trust me, it is not expensive, but it requires a lot of imagination and innovation.
I completely agree with you, especially on the last part. It requires a lot of imagination and innovation. I mean, if you look at, I'd like to add that, when you look at the content marketing, as you mentioned, and the use of influencers, I think my take is that, we are moving towards a very subtle marketing where I think every CMO, every marketing head has to figure out the art of getting discovered rather than being in the face marketing. Uh, so you mentioned about uh, Gen Alpha. What do you think are the strategies that you as a company would be looking at developing to address the Gen Alpha? Because they are the ones who are now getting the purchasing power in their hands. And also, if you look at their behavioral patterns, they're quite distinct from what we have seen in the past. How, as a business leader, do you think that the marketing teams need to address through these strategies?
So on a lighter note, the first time I heard about Gen Alpha, I was wondering what the hell is this, So I did some Googling and found out they ran out of, names. So there was some storm somewhere brewing and they put the name Alpha. But essentially, Gen Alpha is somebody who's born after 2010. This is my common understanding. If I have a 8 billion number of people in the planet, 2.2 billion would be Gen Alpha. If I look at India, roughly 25-26% will be Gen Alpha. So that's big. Now please understand, these are the people who are going to survive 15 to 30% with a higher longevity than what we are going to do, because medication and everything will become better, unless they go the other way, which is, I don't want to talk about that side, right? If I look at what these people are, I think, they are more into digital at all times. There was some data that till date from 2010 till today, that is 14 years, 2 years they have been imprisoned with only the TV and video stuff. So you can imagine, out of the 24 years, after the 14 years, 2 years, they have only been interacting with video. That tells you what kind of people they would be. They are highly opinionated. They are easy to spend money. They are more into, if I look at social causes, environment causes, and that is the kind of a profile we are looking at. So what do I do on this? I think the first thing is on media. If they are consuming media, there was some data that on an average they're consuming 56 minutes of media every day. That's a hell of a lot, for that kind of a profile. So you and I need to optimize our mobile content and make it so interesting that they are able to, and they come in the radar first of all, we come in the radar over there. That is the first one. The second one is on the influencer, which we see. Kids are getting influenced by kids. That's very important. So you have kids influencers, whether there is I was seeing some kid influencer in South who became so popular. He has some 46,000 followers. And whatever he or he does, actually, a lot of people start looking at that as a food product. Similarly, there are kids who are actually, there was a brand, one of the largest FMCG companies, has a hand wash. It was actually stroked by the kids to start the behavior of having a liquid hand wash as a routine. So that is one of the ways of looking, how do you want to push your product, where you want to push your product. Content has to be very interesting. As I was talking earlier, it has to be more interactive. You go to a McDonald's, I was talking to the MD of McDonald's. Sorry, I had taken his name because he was there yesterday. He was saying in every store now we have a place where you can scan your mobile, right? And you will get games which you can play, which will be educational, but it will also be engaging. That's what people are, the different companies are trying to work on. Then you have something called social and economic. For example, the largest beverages, one of the largest beverages company, they have this environment theme. What will happen about my 100 years? What will happen about my 70, 80 years? So these are some of the things I think we have to appeal as far as Gen Alpha is concerned.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. I was in US until about a week ago. And how many of you are aware of this YouTuber called Mr. Beast? He's one of the guys who has millions and millions of subscribers on YouTube. And he launched a brand of water, flavored water called Prime. And it is taken over, the kids by rage. People ask for that particular brand of water. So that's the power of influence and the peer pressure that they have. Sir, I want to bring to you a question which is very close to my heart because, and it is pertinent for you because Daewoo as an organization is moving towards products and businesses which are more sustainability, environment, they affect the environment, in a positive manner, or they're responsible towards environmental factors. How do you think marketing can be done responsibly, or we could bring in the element of sustainability, environment, responsible when we are choosing how to market our products by way of using technology rather than paper, or moving towards any such marketing strategies?
So actually, digital marketing has made this task much easier. So as we become more and more conscious about the environment or renewable energy and stuff like that. You see, today, most of the companies, other than some categories which are 100%, तो नहीं बोलना चाहिए, but 80-90% major share is going on digital marketing. But most of the company, today the digital marketing budget is somewhere between 30 to 35% of their total marketing budget. So which means when you are on digital marketing, actually you're not using any paper, you're not using any form of this thing. So the more you go on digital marketing, this question of yours is actually being answered on its own, in a sense, right? Because earlier everything was physical. It was in one or the other physical form. Whether you put up a billboard, whether you print leaflets and posters and stuff like that, whether you bring an advertisement in a newspaper or in a magazine or wherever. So I think the advent of digital marketing has, in a sense, answered this question to an extent to 30 to 35%, as I mentioned. And going forward, as the engagement with the consumers becomes a very key factor in marketing, the importance of offline marketing will continue to go down. It will never be zero, but it will only be a reminder or just for information or communication purpose, but there is no engagement. So in that sense, this is happening by default. I'm not saying it is happening by merit. We are not conscious about it, but it is happening by merit, by default. But more than that, like you mentioned, there are lots of technologies, lot of products which today are, being replaced. I mean, a lot of material is getting replaced by because of the conservation and all the other factors. And so there is a conscious effort that uh, uh, the point of wastage of material or wastage of resources will be taken by itself. Uh, I guess it is not only in marketing, it is also in all other fields that we do in our day-to-day life or in a corporate life or in production or in, in logistics, in so many other things that we do. As an organization, we need to be more concerned about the environment and the conservation. But in per se, in marketing terms, it is not so much of relevant in the sense that I need not do something which will help me in conservation or in these factors. But there are so many other fields in a industry or in a factory or in a company where obviously all these questions are very, very relevant and all of us are very, very conscious. In fact, coming back to your question of, uh, uh, the Gen Alpha, I think one of the things when you ask the question of how to engage Gen Alpha, I think one of the things is that I have seen, literally I've seen, including my own kids, they are very, very conscious. Like we were not when we were kids, obviously. And therefore, today, if you have to have a better engagement with the kids of today, you have to give them this message also that, look, I am a responsible company or my product is responsible product. And therefore, I look after all the aspects of from production of a product to the disposal of that product, if it is a e-waste or otherwise. So you have to give this information also when you're trying to give a message to a youngster why he should choose your brand. If you do not have this message enshrined in your communication, you will have a problem because the kid may not go for your product.
Absolutely. So it's not just that आपने message देना है. It is important for you to market this message because otherwise they will not choose you. You know. Uh, Mr. Mahajan, when we are looking at marketing today, one of the key aspect is of personalization. Today we have technologies, whether we are using AI, whether we are using machine learning, etc. We are able to personalize the marketing campaigns using technology. And one of the ways in which we are able to do that is by collecting a lot of data, or at least having access to a lot of data of our consumers. We are also facing challenges of being responsible of ensuring privacy. How do you, as a business leader, ensure that your marketing teams are able to balance between the need of personalization and ensuring data privacy?
So this is almost like a Maslow's hierarchy of hygiene, in the sense that if AI and ML has given us the latitude of getting mass customization and mass data, personal data, there were 3 or 4 data points I'd like to share. There's a wearable watch company, and roughly 76 lakhs of password and logger ID was available in the dark web. 76 lakhs. There's a global electronic company, and in UK, 6 lakh people's third party, there was a leakage from the third party, and the user password and was again available. And in 2017, the biggest of them all, there's a food delivery which is the market leader today, one of the market leaders. 1.7 crores worth of password and logger ID was available. So that tells you that while one has the benefit, one also needs to earn the trust. And there are many ways to do it, One is that you actually take whatever data is sufficient rather than taking too much of data. Now, for example, what we do is we have 4,300 dealers, 700-800 of our brand shops. We have got all their birthdays and all their anniversaries. We take a consent letter from them, and we also tell them where we'll use it. So everybody is very clear, and if they're not comfortable, we don't take it. And then we celebrate the birthdays and anniversaries. So you have to be very careful about these things. These are strictures which are required. Government entails now very clearly there are a lot of compliance issues which were not there earlier. We had a server in Singapore. Government said, no, sorry, it has to be. If you have Indian citizens' data, it has to be in India. We had to shift it to India. So government has become extremely vigilant, and I think that's the right thing to do. So that's the second part. Third is encrypting. It's called tokenization, encrypting, masking. So instead of the name, you actually give a token to it. So nobody actually gets to know what is the actual whatever date of birth or password or whatever. So that is one. Then there are so many other ways of, for example, control. If you look at investment firms, there's a research firm and there is an investment firm, right? And there's a very clear wall between the two. Similarly, in marketing organizations, you will have to have clear demarcation who has the personal data, who has the data on which marketing themes are there. So marketing themes don't need personal data. They need trends. They need a campaign, what we need to focus. So you don't need everybody to know everything. That could be the same way as the investment firms are doing when you need to do something around that. So these are some of the ways which I would say would be, we will look at it. The other place where I said is third party. I think the weakest link is that link, because that's where mostly the leakages actually happen. So you need to continuously audit. And there is a e-commerce player who continues, and also you have the other ones which continue educating that please be careful. We don't, you shouldn't be giving more than what is required. So these are some of the steps. Thank you.
If I may add a couple more. One would be that when you collect data from anyone, whether it be a customer or a retail partner, we give him a choice of these are the mandatory fields and these are the ones which are not mandatory. So it is the decision of the data giver or the data provider as to how much data he wants to share and what he doesn't want to share, which actually means that in the form itself, when you say this is mandatory, it means it is required to be there, but the other is like flexible, whether he shares or not. So this is one thing which I think needs to be implemented in order to protect. Other thing is that, a lot of companies are today doing segmentation. So which means that the data of one individual is not important. What you do is you try to put a common behavior or a common pattern as a group or as a segment, and then you use that data, which means the individual privacy is not revealed, but the behavior or the pattern of that whole group or the segment is shared for the marketing purposes.
Got it. As we come to an end, I have one last question which I'm going to ask both of you. As a CEO, as the chairman of an organization, as a managing director of an organization, we rely a lot on our marketing heads to guide us as to what we should be doing it as an organization. And we've understood that the marketing is evolving, it is transforming much quicker than what we can imagine. We are now addressing a very different set of consumers than what we have experienced when we were earlier in our in our career. How do you what would you keep in mind while selecting or choosing who you would hire as your marketing head going forward?
I would look at it as a team rather than a marketing head, So the idea is because the leader is as good as the team. And keeping the role of AI, ML, and which is now across all facets, right? I think I will definitely like to have one or two good talent as far as IT is concerned. Computer science, electronics, but being able to code, that's number one. Young minds, sorry, I don't want to get into ageism and all, but adaptability is more important currently because the speed of change is extremely fast. Have a couple of Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Alpha because you have different segments and you want to understand what they are. You need psychology people there. Psychology is very big. People don't understand, but that's how you are able to actually understand what is the need and the want and the difference between the two. And then, of course, financial acumen, because finally, rukda is everything, Otherwise, what is the point? So, what is the bang for the buck? So, that guy has to have, he or she should have a financial acumen, put the things together, team management, because these will be very different kind of talent pools. And so, some HR over there. That would be the kind of team I'll be looking forward to.
So, first thing is I agree with Sandeep that it is not a role of a marketing head or a CMO per se. Now it is a teamwork where different team members with different skill sets need to sit together, and they must be tech savvy, they must be very quick learners, they must be adaptable to new technologies, because as we discussed in the earlier session, when we started this session, that technology is virtually changing every 2 years. I mean, all the AI tools that we saw 6 months back have been replaced by even more powerful tools today. So the way things are changing, it is your adaptability to technology, and therefore you must be very quick learners. In fact, in my marketing team, when we interview, I mean, I'm talking of the team members, we also ask them how much time do you spend actually on social media. And if somebody says, maybe out of fear or out of trying to impress someone that, no sir, I am not very social media person, actually we don't hire him. So he actually has to be social media. He should be spending at least 1 to 2 hours every day on social media, maybe for his own reasons, if he or she is a newcomer, like we hire newcomers as well. The skill set today required are very, very different, and they may not be available in one person. But the chief of marketing or the head of marketing is one person who has the understanding where the team is going to be and what are the different skill sets of different team members in my team, so that as a wholesome, you can, take a wholesome approach and you can bring out a wholesome solution to any marketing challenge that you may face tomorrow. So it's a complete package actually. It's not like one marketing head will do everything today. It's not possible actually.
Well, thank you so much, because my take is, and my understanding when I hear you in not so many words spoken, is that going forward, I think the marketing people will be a mix of somebody who understands technology and is a master in psychology, understanding the psyche of the consumer. And I think, more than the marketing, I think it's the business leaders who need to be more receptive to change, to listen to what these guys are doing, and as a response to what they hear as a feedback from the market. So thank you so much for taking our time, Mr. Bhatia and Mr. Mahajan. I think this conversation would be insightful for everyone. I don't think, in the interest of time, because we are headed for awards, so I will not open the floor for questions. But I think Mr. Mahajan and Mr. Bhatia are going to be around for some time. So in case somebody wants to meet them, this is a great opportunity, because otherwise they are not easily available, accessible. ठीक है ना, sir? So thank you so much for listening to us patiently. Thank you so much for taking our time, sir.
Thank you.